Hey, this is Granny, and today I'm going to show y'all how to make some pickles, some dill pickles out of some cucumbers. I went over to the farmer's market, and these things just been sitting in the refrigerator for about 3 weeks, and they just gonna go bad if I don't do something to them. I made a whole lot of pickles over the summer, but I need to go ahead and get rid of these things now before they go bad. I don't like for nothing to go bad. So y'all watch me as I make some dill pickles here. Now there's a few things you want to have. You want to have you some sterile jars, and I found out that the best way to sterilize them is just put them in the dishwasher and let the dishwasher wash them, because you want them to be nice and clean. You don't want to be putting no dirty stuff into your pickles, therefore putting those dirty pickles in your mouth and poisoning people. So have some sturdy, some clean and not dirty jars. You also want to have you a water bath started too. We're gonna use a little rack that we're gonna sit down in there. You don't want to put your jars on the very bottom of the pot, because they might bust on you. And we're gonna start to make a brine as well out of 2 quarts of vinegar and 1 quart of water. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start pouring my vinegar. This is just some distilled white vinegar. You want to use distilled vinegar for this. And that's a quart right there. That's 2 quarts right there. I got that from, it don't matter where I got it from. You just want to use some white distilled vinegar. And then we're going to use 1 quart, which is half of this bottle of regular water. Now I got my regular water. That's 32 ounces of regular water. And we're also going to be using some pickling salt in there, or some kosher salt. You don't want to use a bunch of regular salt in there. You don't want to get none of that old Morton salt put in there. You want either kosher or pickling salt. Now that's the kind of salt you want to use, either kosher salt or pickling salt. You don't want to use that kind of salt that's got iodine in it. You want to use this kind. It don't have no iodine. So we're going to pour that in there. And you also, if you want to have a little bit of sweetness to it, you can use a little bit less than a half a cup of sugar in there too. Sometimes I use sugar, sometimes I don't. It depends on how sweet I want to be. Now, for this recipe, I'm going to use a little bit of, this is pure cane sugar right here. I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. And then we're just going to let that dissolve, let it come up to a boil. And then while that's doing that, we'll go ahead and start cutting up our cucumbers. Okay, I got my cucumbers all sliced up. Now y'all didn't want to see me slice all those things up. Y'all got other things to do. So I didn't want to sit there and show you me slicing up all these cucumbers. But got them sliced up. Now we're going to show you some of the other ingredients. Okay, here's some of the other stuff we use in there. We're going to use some fresh dill, some dill weeds, some red pepper flakes, some pickling spice. We're going to use some mustard seeds, some dill seeds, a couple of bay leaves. We're also going to use some stuff called pickle crisp. That kind of keeps you from having to pre-soak your pickles, so that they come out all nice and tender. And then we're going to use some garlic in there. You can use as much of that as you want to. Just depends on how you want your pickles. Most of this stuff you can use as much as you want to, except for this pickling crisp. You only want to use about a teaspoon of that, and you only want to use about a fourth of a teaspoon of the pickling crisp, and a fourth of a teaspoon of the mustard, unless you want some mustardy pickles. I don't like no mustardy pickles. Now it's real important that you keep your rings nice and hot until you're ready to use them. Also, you want to keep your lids in nice warm water. Make sure they're nice and clean. Now you don't want to really put them in boiling water, because you want to let that boil. Use that rubber to make that rubber seal. That's how you seal your jars. And I got my jars right here over our water processor here. And you also want to make sure that when you get ready to douse them down into that water, make sure that you've already checked how much water you need over the jar. So I usually fill the jar up and see how much water comes on top of it, then I take them out and empty them and do it that way. That way you don't run into no mistakes with your water boiling. Okay, I laid everything out that's gonna go in the jars, and I just did this so it'll be practical for you to see it. We got our mustard seed over there, about a teaspoonful. We got our pickle and spice, about a half a teaspoon. We got some red bell pepper or red pepper flakes in there, about a half a teaspoon. We got a teaspoon of dill seed, a teaspoon of dill weed. Got 3 cloves of garlic. We got some bay leaf, and we got a sprig of fresh dill. Now a lot of this stuff, you know, just depending on how you want it to taste, you can kind of play with it a little bit, because I got the recipe for somebody and I made it my own. You got to make everything your own. Now we're going to go ahead and put these in the jar. Okay, now I've poured everything inside the jar. Now we're going to start packing them with the cucumbers in there. Now them jars, they're right over that water bath, and so they are hot as hell. Don't be reaching in there with your hands to get it. Get you one of these ball canning kits. It comes with that little pair of clamps right there that you can use to pick up your jars with. But don't be stupid and sticking your hand in hot water. Okay, I got that jar all packed in there. Don't be afraid to pat it down in there and squish it down. Now we're going to add the pickling brine to it. Okay, we're going to get our pickling brine. It's hot now. Just pour it in there like that. And you want to pour it in there till it's about 1/4 of an inch from the top. You're going to do every jar like that. About 1/4 of an inch from the top. Smell like vinegar in here too, boy. Good Lord. Reminds me of, well, I can't tell you what it reminds me of. It's supposed to be a family video, but oh Lord Jesus, some old days, y'all. About 1/4 of an inch from the top. And then we're gonna put our rings up there and our lids. Okay, now we're gonna you wanna make sure that edge of that thing is cleaned off real good, because you want to have a real good seal. So make sure that that's cleaned off real good. Keep your paper towel around. Let's see, there's still some over there on the side. Make sure it's nice and clean. You don't want nothing to hinder your sealing ability. So you're gonna put that up there like that. Lord have mercy. I'm trying to put it up there. Lord have mercy. Well, that didn't work. Lord, that's what happens when you try to do stuff with one hand. Old Granny don't know how to use these little contraptions. Now we're gonna put on our rings here, and you just want to do it finger tight, just finger tight. You don't want to tighten it up a whole lot. And there's your first jar that you can go ahead and start using for processing. We're just gonna sit this over here in the water bath, but it's not really in there because it's not immersed yet. And then we're gonna do the rest of it. Okay, we got them all locked and loaded, and we're gonna go ahead and start our water bath. You're gonna do it 10 minutes after the boiling starts. That's how long you're gonna process it. And just make sure you got about an inch of water over each jar. About an inch. So that these things will seal properly. Alrighty, that's been boiling now for 10 minutes. We can take it out of the water bath and let them start to come to room temperature, and we should start hearing those lids start to pop. Okay, we got them out of the water bath. Now we're gonna let them sit here for about 10 minutes, just kind of resting. Don't handle them, because you can see some of them still boiling in there. Don't handle them, and then once the jars seal, you'll see that little center part get pulled down from the vacuum. And then in about 6 weeks, you can eat them things and have you some pickles. They better than any store-bought pickles you ever had in your life. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm sure I'll be making some more. Y'all have a good day.